Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining me on this penultimate episode, I think, of this series of building the AK Cobra. I'm going to talk to you about the IVA that I've just been through and passed on the second attempt. I'll give you some more details in a second. And then I think the last video will be fitting the hardtop from 427 Hardtops. So let's get into some more information. So yes, this is me after being up at 5 o'clock in the morning for the second time. So what happened? Basically, the first time I took the car to IVA, it breezed through. The three guys there couldn't find a fault with it. I demonstrated my knowledge of the IVA process and the steps I've taken to prove that I've read the manual and taken safety into account, etc. And they're all super impressed, and we got all the way through and it was all great, and the last thing to do was the emissions, and it failed on the emissions, which was kind of disappointing because the emissions isn't something that I could really fix myself, if you like. I mean, if there had been a problem with not enough clips on the brake line every 30 centimeters, then I could have easily done that and put another clip in, or something would have been a lot more easy to fix. However, as it was the emissions, and I just couldn't get down on the CO to the required 0.3, and I think I was on about 1.4-ish. Hydrocarbons were fine. So yeah, that was disappointing. Anyway, I brought the car back, no problem at all, and then I contacted Dave at Canems, and he connected in through the laptop. So I highly recommend you get the software and a laptop and a serial cable, USB to serial cable. I think it might come with the Canems unit actually, and he's more than happy to connect in and maybe just tweak a few settings, and he can see on the software, exactly what's happening with the engine. Tweak the revs, make it a much nicer run. You can also do other things, give it all the pops and bangs that some of you guys might like. But anyway, he did a few tweaks. Now, I'm not sure if that was what allowed me to pass the second time. I also read a lot on the forums and took a lot of advice, and there's a possibility that this was because of maybe air leaks in the exhaust system. So I took the exhaust system off, the J-pipe off the manifold, and took the side exhaust off. And then I redid everything and resealed everything and really doubled down on all the tightening, using those Binks lock-in nuts on the J-pipe to manifold, and really tightening everything so there wasn't the smallest gap, because I didn't want to take any chances. And lo and behold, it breezed through. So a bit disappointed I didn't do that on the first time. I dare say the exhaust didn't even get super hot, and really you do need a very hot cat for it to work properly. But it didn't get super hot because it was only about 4 or 5 degrees out. He did allow me to run it for a little while, but yeah, it passed very easily this time. So I was made up. So really pleased with that. I'm glad that they were impressed with my build, and everything else is good. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the IVA testers did. Okay, just going from memory, it was a week and a half ago now. The retest is actually quite quick to rebook. It's just a 30-minute retest for the emissions, and I rebooked that within about 4 days of ringing up, so quite pleased. So basically, the guy, he first of all got the tape measure out and measured the wheelbase and the height of different things. He literally just used his foot front and back here, and if it was way off, not hitting the lights, he wasn't bothered. If it was getting closer, he said he would have then got the tape measure out, but he was happy with the height of the lights, fog lights and reverse, etc. on the back. Worth noting, before I went, I did take the nut covers off because he probably would have asked to see the nuts. So make sure you do that. Yeah, and he just went round, and it was a very, very quick. It's meant to be a 4-hour process, and I guess really up to emissions, I was on about 3 hours or so. So obviously he manually tugs and touches and raises the car up and make sure that everything is firm and all the brake lines are firm, etc., and all fixed. And he obviously knows what to look at, and even when you don't think he's looking at anything, he obviously is, and he's checking, you know, the 30 centimeter clip requirement, etc. So then I had to get into the car, and I was raised up, and he had me do full lock on the wheels. So make sure your brake flexies do not rub at either lock. And then we were onto the rolling road, and he was testing the handbrake, etc. So let me just go and get, let's see if I've got the results for that. All right, so check this out. So the park brake efficiency is 38.79%, which is way above the 16% pass. I think it's 15 or 16%. So I was well made up with that, and I think that's an excellent result, and goes to show that the AK handbrake system is excellent and works just fine as long as you have, you know, followed the build process and adjusted everything as best as you can. I know now that they offer an electric handbrake, which will be, you know, second to none, and that will probably be worth looking at, although I can imagine a bit more expensive. But yeah, the park brake there was terrific. So once off the rolling road and brakes tested, then he tested the beam pattern of the headlights, which I had manually done basically just by standing up a bit of cardboard in front and making sure it was straight ahead and level and nothing more. So they passed. He barely took seconds looking at each one. They didn't need any adjustment, although I took, now's the time to mention, I guess, I took a box full of tools tucked down there in the footwell. I took both kinds of screwdrivers and wheel nuts, and also an impact driver, so that I could do up any bolts that I thought were loose, just in case, you know, the bolts that hold the exhaust on underneath, just in case they worked loose. You don't want that falling off on the motorway. And a couple of Allen keys in case I needed to tighten anything up, wing mirrors, etc. So I took just enough tools, and I even took a jack from my personal car, so just in case, you know, some sort of emergency. Why not? You know, belts and braces. It's just a small box of tools, and I think that was well worth doing. So yeah, he went round, and after checking the lights, it almost seemed that was it. I'm not sure what else he was doing. He took it for a drive, and I guess he did some turning to make sure it kind of self-centered itself, which is why you do need to get the track in and the toe in done as well. And then I think there was a weigh station, and he may have weighed it as well. Certainly he was hidden around the corner for some time doing God knows what. And that was it. He did not this time look under the dash that my previous tester had done, but everything was well hidden anyway. He asked about the carpeting, and I did say it was going to a professional trimmers, and I just wanted to show that, you know, I had enough protection in there for the occupants, and to make it look like it was, you know, a kind of finished job. And he was happy with all of that. He had me test windscreen wipers, water, and I did have one advisory, and the one advisory was that this windscreen wiper was, let's see if I can move it, was finishing a touch high. So I adjusted that in between my two tests, and I adjusted that down. That was my one advisory, which I was really pleased with. And that was it. So what else did he say? Oh yeah, there was one other thing actually. Right at the start of the test, he did say that this cable was flopping around a bit. Mainly he was concerned if there was something in the boot that it could catch and then pull out the sender unit cables. I explained to him that it was going to a professional trimmers. I could have fixed it there and then because I had some zip ties, I had a knife with me. I was more than happy to cut this bit of carpet off perhaps and tuck this cable behind the carpet, but he was okay with that. It was only a minor infraction, and he let that go, so happy days. So that was that. Right, so what happens now? Well, as many of you would now go to town and take off all these safety features that you put on just for IVA, but I'm not going to do that, and you know, it still needs to have these features on to be able to pass its MOT, etc. So for example, the reflectors that I've got on here, I'm going to leave on because you're still going to need those for its MOT. Now the fog and reverse light I am going to take off, and I'm going to put back on the fog and reverse lights that I made, so it has still got the light. I am going to take the wing mirrors off and put on the wing mirrors that I've got, because, you know, there is a little bit of an aesthetics thing there, but on the whole I think a lot of these safety features are well worth keeping on. So that's it for this video. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go and get warm and something to eat because it's been a long morning so far. Join me again for the next video, which is going to be to do with fitting the hardtop from 427 Hardtops. See you again.